Hey guys, it's Chris here. So this is my twice monthly videos that I do called Art Explained. And usually I'm doing a product testing or showing you my progress in Chancery, whatever really. Something art related, and I try to explain it or show you how to use it. This week though, I'm going to be talking about Patreon, which is the site that I use where these videos, like this one, and my sketch videos are actually sponsored by the people on Patreon. So they help me out every month by donating a bit of money. It's not really a donation actually, because they do get rewards. So it's a little different. But I am doing this one this way this week because I'm starting to feel the pressure. So for the first time in my life, I actually have people who are not my direct family who want to make sure and see my progress in my projects. So I've really gotten into making videos on YouTube for my patrons. It's a lot of fun. Got a new camera here this last month, and I think that I'm getting pretty decent at it for YouTube videos. I mean, I'm not a presenter, I'm not an actor. That's never really been my bag, you know. But it does take a long time to edit videos. At first I was just using Movie Maker, and now I use Lightworks, but even so they still take a long time. And they don't really get me that much money in themselves. So like, I have patrons who help me every month donating a little bit, which if you're watching this, I'll be adding links everywhere, so you can check it out. And basically at different tier levels, they get rewards. Things as simple as their name and link on my website, and that will stay there forever even if they were to stop being a patron. Their names at the end of these videos saying that they're sponsoring this video. There's rewards of actually getting postcards from me, winning the sketches that I do every month. So there's a lot of ways that they can get stuff, and then I ship it to them. They don't pay an extra fee on top of their reward level for the shipping. So I mean, it's a pretty good deal really. I mean, you're getting original artwork, most of them, for not very much. And they also get to suggest what I draw. So anything my patrons ask for these videos, for my sketch videos, that's always my highest priority on my list of things to draw. But making these videos, I'm not gonna stop, of course. I love making them. But I started making some that were just for fun, like Show and Tell Tuesdays, which when I wasn't working so diligently on Chancery yet because I didn't have a script and I didn't have things to really be working on yet besides just character design, I had time, you know? I had all this extra time to make these videos, and I'm thinking I'm gonna have to cut back on those. I have a couple I've already made, which I'm still gonna put out, but the Show and Tell Tuesdays might have to slow down a bit because now that I actually have people on Patreon who care about what I do, I'm feeling the pressure. And it's good pressure. I mean, I don't think it's bad. I really enjoy Patreon, and I think it's good for me to have people who directly want to see what I'm doing. Even though some of them are friends, which is great. Some of them people I don't know, which is awesome. I never thought that would happen. But yeah, it's really good for me as an artist. So if you're thinking of starting Patreon, basically you need to create your introduction video explaining what your goal is. And I've seen some people who don't really have a goal, and I think that's a shame, because you're not really sure what you're supporting. You know, Patreon, you really need to show what you're supporting. And the way I do it is a monthly. So a person would only get billed at the end of every month, and then it gets processed, and then I get the money on an account on Patreon, which I could then process to my bank or just leave there. So, and they take a little bit off the top, of course. They are a company, they aren't just doing this for free. And basically then you have a private blog that you update, which shows your activity of your creations, what you're doing. And when I first started, I thought, okay, I can do this every day. I can do something. I can post my sketches. I can do something. And it worked for a while. It did work for a while. But I started to, I started to make too many side sketches or just whatever, just to try and fill the time, you know? Like I just wanted to make sure there was something, and then it wasn't towards my end goal. So I stopped doing that, and now I update when I actually have things to update, which is mainly the weekend sketches that I do, and any of these art explains, general updates, you know, where I'm at in Chancery, what I've been having a hard time with. And I think that's pretty decent. Could probably be doing it more, but I think I've got a good rhythm for updating as is. And you know, if you're going to be starting a Patreon, you have to make sure you're going to follow through with what you're planning to do, you know. I've never missed sending any of my sketches out to people. I've never missed putting up one of the sketch videos up for the weekend. I've never missed it, and I don't plan to. And having that kind of direct schedule for an illustrator like me, I think is really good, because you can't just say, oh well, nobody will care, which is something you would always say before in your head, like, you know, it's only me, nobody else cares, you know, they're not gonna know if I didn't put it up, it's not gonna be a big deal if I just wait, you know, another week. And you just start to procrastinate a bit. And so I think what Patreon does for me is really push past that, and I think that's really important. So if you're going to be starting one, think about those things. Do you really have something to give to people, to show to people? Are you going to be able to update them? Are you just going to give it up in a month? Because that was a fear too. I thought, you know, should I really do this? Like, am I going to want to stick with this after a month or two? And I totally have. I've actually really embraced it, and I love it, honestly. I can't imagine not having Patreon now. Or YouTube. I don't get very much money from YouTube. I do monetize my videos, but I mean, I've been doing it now for like 6 months, and I've not even gotten $5. So that is certainly not the way that I'm going to earn money off of my work. But putting all of the stuff out there is good, because videos get seen whenever, you know. There can be a video that's several years old and then just pops up and gets shared around. We've seen that happen a ton. And now my videos aren't exactly viral videos, they're sketch videos, and they're videos of me talking about stuff, but you know, I think they're still relevant no matter when, you know. So if somebody only just were to discover my videos or me, there's a lot of potential to still earn on something that you've created a long time ago. Where when I used to blog, you don't see anything from that, you know? Like, I'd spend hours writing these blogs and all this stuff, but I would never see any monetization from that. I'd never see any money from it. I'd hardly see any comments from it, and it just felt like you're speaking to the wind, you know? At least with YouTube, I can see views, direct views of people watching my videos. I can see the minutes watched growing. I can see growth there visually that I couldn't before. And that's all thanks to Patreon. I would have never really thought I should start making videos until then. My first month I was just going to do Google Hangouts with my patrons, but I could never come up with a time that we could all get together and they could give me questions, or I could sketch live or whatever. It just didn't work. I didn't have enough of a group watching at the time. And then it was suggested that why don't I create videos, which I was totally unprepared for. My first videos were recording with my webcam pointed down at my paper, and it's super grainy and it looks terrible. But I think that's all growth. It's important. Nobody just starts into it if they're not a professional and their stuff looks amazing. You know, there's always going to be that growth, and that's what YouTube is for. There's a lot of YouTubers that I watch that I go back and watch their videos from the beginning, and I'm like, hey, they look like me. You know, like, this is amazing. You know, they weren't amazing right off the top. And you've got to remember that, especially on Patreon too, is that there are people who have been creating, have been popular through YouTube, or their long-running web comic, or, you know, whatever. You know, they've had a following already for a long time. I don't feel like I've had that much of a following. I mean, I've got like 50 followers on Facebook, and I've got like 400, a little over 400 followers on Twitter. And I mean, those numbers, they're numbers, but you don't really always see everyone. You don't hear from everyone. You don't know if anyone's actually seeing your posts, you know? So you know somebody liked it initially, but you don't know if they're continuing to like you, where Patreon is a direct face-to-face interface, you could say, with people who are enjoying your work and wanting to see more. You know, they're paying out of pocket every month to make sure you keep doing what you're doing. And that's incredibly uplifting as a person, let alone me as an artist. I mean, there's people who do music, there's people who do anything. There's so many different ways people have been using Patreon, and I'm just a very small scope of that. So I think if you're wanting to do it, think a long time about it. Take a month thinking about what you're going to offer people. Is it worth it? Are you going to be able to keep up the schedule? What are your growing pains going to be? And all of that stuff. I did that for a month before I started mine. I heard about Patreon but didn't start right away. I wanted to. Like, I was like, yeah, I should totally open this up today and I can start getting money right away. Then I'm like, no, okay, then I'm gonna look totally unprofessional. So I spent a long time writing my script for my first video, for asking for pledges. I spent a long time making my first images for the page, which now I don't even use, but they were there. And for me, they felt like they were important images to use. You know, so you got to think about that. And I've changed a lot what I offer from the beginning. Now that I don't update every day, I kind of offer a little more in a way of rewards to kind of make up for that difference. And there's a lot of little things that I've tweaked over time. And that will happen. Don't expect that everything you're going to offer right off the first try is going to be what sticks. It might take a while to even get any patrons. I was very lucky and fortunate that friends were wanting to support me right off the bat. And I have 8 patrons right now, and that's awesome. And I'm thankful for every one of them, and I hope they will continue being there for me. And if not, I totally understand. Like, money is money and things are tight, and I totally understand when a patron needs to leave. You know, I do not hold it against them at all when they need to go. And that doesn't mean that you should stop what you're doing though. Just because one person leaves, it doesn't mean a reflection of them not enjoying what you do either. So don't get discouraged if you just lose a bunch of patrons suddenly, because, well, look at the season, it's almost Christmas. Or, you know, you don't know what somebody's personal situation is. Maybe they could only do a month and that was it. So it's a lot of stuff like that to not let yourself focus on too much as a person making things for others on things like Patreon or YouTube. You know, I know YouTube is starting a tip service, which isn't exactly working great for everybody yet, but if it ever comes to Europe or when I move back to the US, I'll gladly open that up as well as another revenue. I mean, there's so much potential to earn now in different ways than when I first was starting illustration, and I think that's great. So this little video is coming to a close. It's already 15 minutes, but if you have any questions about Patreon, I would be very happy to answer them. Just put them below. If you have questions about my Patreon, let me know. I'll explain them more in depth if they don't really make sense, because sometimes I don't make sense. If you have any suggestions for these videos, the Art Explained or my sketch videos, go ahead and put them there. That's great. I love hearing from people no matter who they are. And I'll see you the mid-month in December. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.